A shootout at a Texas courthouse rewrites all the rule books, and we've got the complete video to back it up. Can a passenger driving a car drunk be charged with driving a car drunk? We've got a little video we're calling One Hell of a Way to Get Your Dumbass Shot. See where the crime timers and you feel this clock belongs on the dumbass meter. Some California cops are seen snoozing on company time. Could these human fly traps have been on the edge of the big sleep? And we're going to get to it this time, folks. One drunk in the station house uses a plasterboard wall to try to make the front line of the Bears. This is where the rubber meets the road. Stanley meets Livingston. Woody meets Woodpecker. Duck and cover. For barreling down track number 69 is Crime Time. Crime Time, where an extraordinary group of cops, ex-cops, puppets, poets, paupers, and kings slice and dissect all make and manner of law enforcement stories is an edutainment service from In the Line of Duty. Now, in addition to watching Crime Time on the World Wide Web and through Apple's iTunes, you can catch us on your cell phone too. Check out our website at lineofduty.com for particulars. In the Bronx Zoo today are the lovely, the beauteous, and magnificent Officer Sinella Konjevich of the St. Louis Metro PD, who, after consulting with her priest, has deigned to join us once again. Richard Simpfer, who is a retired 27-year veteran of the St. Louis PD and former director of its police academy, we have put him closest to Officer Konjevich because he has the shortest arms of any of the crime timers. Kevin Murphy, Captain Clayton, Missouri Police, and a man you'll only mess with if you're fixin' to meet the man. Mike Guzzi, retired homicide detective sergeant with the St. Louis PD, columnist, and now administrative assistant with the St. Louis Sheriff's Office, and an integral cipher among the crime timers for which he is getting regular treatment. And Deputy Chief Gregory Hawkins, who, as always, is in the catbird seat watching our and your every move. Now get ready to drop your chompers, because what's up first is a series of shootouts that, what seemed like forever, put cops on the defensive and to the ultimate test. Roll 'em.
Drama unfolding here is nothing compared to the terror that's about to be unleashed outside. And it's all captured on video.
Yes, sir.
We were listening to one of the witnesses, and all of a sudden we heard some bangs from out on the street.
Rapid-fire gunshots, fear and confusion in the courtroom. And TV cameraman Chris Howe suddenly realizes he's in the middle of an even bigger story.
It took me about 10 seconds before I figured out, holy smokes, this is a gun battle. Roll tape now.
To prevent the accused from escaping in the chaos, a bailiff grabs him and takes cover. Hysteria sets in as automatic rifle fire strafes the building from the street below.
It's just like a cannon. It's like pow, pow, pow. It rang throughout the entire square.
Outside on the courthouse steps, Maribel Estrada and her 23-year-old son David Arroyo Jr. tried desperately to reach the safety of the building. Maribel is here hoping to resolve issues from an ugly divorce that's left her ex-husband David Arroyo enraged. Just inside the entrance, a courthouse security camera records what happens next. That's Arroyo, approaching on the right. Suddenly, he opens fire with an AK-47 assault rifle. Maribel and her son fall just outside the doors, cut down by bullets. Arroyo continues to shoot at anyone he sees, as several officers attempt to stop him, armed only with handguns. One by one, they come courageously forward. And one by one, David Arroyo mows them down. Upstairs, cameraman Chris Howell ventures from the courtroom into a corridor to videotape the shooting.
I saw two bystanders come running up the stairwell from the first floor, and the look on their face was extremely distressed. I took maybe another step, and I heard more gunfire, bang, 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 bang. And that's the point where, I reached my own personal fear level.
Fearing for his life, Howell ducks back into the courtroom. On the street, Arroyo reloads and the gun battle continues. The outgunned cops desperately radio headquarters for backup. Sergeant Rusty Jacks, an expert marksman, grabs his rifle and races 7 blocks to the courthouse.
When I got out of my truck, there were people laying on the ground everywhere. There was just a lot of fear and panic everywhere on the square. It was just obviously mass chaos.
With hundreds of innocent lives at risk, Jack knows exactly what he has to do.
My goal was to get into a position where I could see him and engage him with my rifle.
He jumps up on the hood of a passing patrol car, knowing he might only get one shot.
I didn't want to be inside of a vehicle whenever we did find him, thinking that we would ride around the corner and basically be pretty much on top of him at that point.
But he's too late. Arroyo has reached his red pickup truck and he's making a desperate escape. Jack scrambles into the patrol car and joins the pursuit. First through the streets of Tyler, then onto the highway, reaching dangerously high speeds.
I knew most of those units were single-man units, and most of them probably didn't have a rifle or a shotgun in their car.
But Jack's does. A Colt Command AR-15 rifle, designed for sharpshooting.
I knew that I had the equipment to deal with the situation if I could ever get into a position where I could see and get a clear shot at David Arroyo.
Suddenly, a patrol car driven by Deputy Sheriff John Smith speeds past and closes in on Arroyo's truck. Arroyo opens fire on Smith, who returns fire before rear-ending him. Arroyo jumps out, enraged. And Sergeant Jack sees the opening he's been waiting for. David Arroyo's reign of terror is over, ended by a fatal shot to the back of the head.
Chief, you saw this amazing series of shootouts, ultimately ending when an expert cop with the long rifle brought this dirtbag down. What did you think as you're watching?
I thought it would be one harrowing experience to have to undergo, really. Individuals start shooting outside. Your inclination, if you're inside, is to go to help your fellow officers. You see several officers go to the door to fire shots. You see some of them be felled by bullets, and it's real easy to say, well, they should have gone to the window, they should have gone around the back. I think you do go to help your partner, and that's just one of those things that happens. It's something that happens in our business. The individual who fired the rifle and shot, he should be commended. I mean, it was a good shot, I think, at that time. Those are situations that Rich can probably speak better than me, but I don't know how training prepares you totally for that. I mean, when you come out to help your fellow man, you see people laying down, other people shot. The most you can do is return fire, try to get cover. They were in a very bad situation where they were coming out and only glass doors to protect them. There's really nothing there. Bullets go through glass doors, and you see that on the video. So it would be something that you'd hate to go through, but it was just a harrowing experience, I thought.
Mike, could you believe that there only was one cop in Dodge with a rifle?
Yeah, I can believe that. I mean, they were in a courthouse to begin with, or responding to one. Now, in the city, we have rifles in the cars now, but years ago we didn't. The first thing I noticed on this, the bailiff did the right thing. He secures the prisoner in the courtroom, so he didn't lose his cool and let another guy escape. Like Greg said, in retrospect, certainly you could have had less loss of life or less police officers shot had they tried a different strategy with those glass doors. The sharpshooter did a wonderful job, although that trick of writing on the hood of the car, that's one of those, don't try this at home. The guy's got bigger cojones than Batman, but I mean, I don't think I'd have approached this thing exactly that way myself. But he's a good shot. I mean, he did a good job at the end.
Murphy, top that.
I thought you only see that in South Africa. That's the way they do it there. You know,
maybe where he saw it.
Yeah. You know, these cops are to be commended because they reacted to the situation, and it's unfortunate because, as Greg says, they had no cover, no concealment, and they're reacting to the threat and hoping that they can just get a shot off and take him down. I think probably what you see in that courthouse now, if you talk to people, they've got a means by which to handle a situation if it occurs like that now. They probably have their long rifle secreted in various locations so they can get the high ground and hit somebody, but they did the best they could under the circumstances, and I think they're to be commended. And I'll tell you what, the guy who took the shot that took that guy out, he didn't have a lot to shoot at and did a great job.
And what none of you's mentioned yet, Rich, is the civilian who was armed and literally tried to take down the shooter who had body armor.
There's so many lessons to be learned in this, and when I watch that, you know, I focus on how we can use it as a training tool, and I think we can, in that when I see those officers rushing to the glass, because again, that's what we run to fire, because we're there to protect, and we are those sheepdogs protecting the sheep, and the glass is breaking, and I'm watching that, and I see officers go to prone position, I see them go to kneeling position, I see them getting all kinds of different positions, and I'm saying to myself, you know what, firearms instructors ought to be taking that segment of the tape and showing it before every firearms range qualification and saying, that is why today we're going to practice the kneeling position, the barricade position, and so forth. It isn't just to play around today because we want you to be at the range. It's because this stuff can happen. And just maybe those officers would take that training a little more seriously. And that's just one aspect of all of that stuff. But so the trainers can take all kinds of pieces of video and use them to encourage and get those officers focused on the means today, which is their safety.
Officer Konyevich, you've seen this tape. What's going through your mind as you assimilated it?
Very disturbing. I've seen officers getting hit, dropping to the ground. Luckily, none of them were killed. However, this man has killed his wife, has killed his son, and another civilian, from what I believe. And it's very disturbing. I mean, the training is needed. When you go to the range, they tell you, hey, we're going to do the kneeling position. We're going to use the barricade for support so you can place an accurate shot. But none of the times when I was going through the academy did they show a video and say, hey, this is the reason, because this could happen. I mean, it's not so much realistic. I mean, we go and train, but like Mr. Simfer said, it could be used to make it more realistic for new officers who have never been on the street.
Anybody else on the Texas courthouse shooting?
Well, I think it does, taking Rich's lead on training points, it points out the incredible volatility of domestic problems. I mean, this was another divorce gone bad scenario, and look at the mayhem that resulted from it.
And I do question why there weren't shotguns or rifles available. I mean, why aren't they mounted there? Why can't you get to them quickly? I can understand that inside a courthouse, which is another whole issue, as some courthouses aren't allowing officers to even bring weapons in unless they're in full uniform and that kind of. So there's lots of issues there, but being comfortable with your long gun or your shotgun is something that, again, should be taken at the range, and officers should be going straight to that powerful weapon versus this defensive weapon.
And what makes that more significant is you go back in the film and you see the deputies looking out the window, looking down, and you do have, they actually have the high ground. If they had the proper weapon, they probably could have taken that suspect out from upstairs with fewer people being injured or killed.
I want to extrapolate on that, what Mike says about the issue of domestic violence. We had the courthouse shooting in 92, 93. 6 people were shot, and it started over a divorce hearing. And I think what officers need to be thinking about is it's not just at court, but it's when you get that call for disturbance at a residence. So many officers are injured and killed every year in situations where they're going to somebody's castle, so to speak, and they're invading that castle. And that's what sets people off. And they need to remember that there are weapons secreted in homes. It may be that the husband and wife are contemplating divorce and a guy thinks he's going to lose everything he's worked his whole adult life for. In our case with the courthouse shooting, it was a guy, he's an engineer, an intelligent man, a guy that's got education, that's had a good job his whole adult life, and he sees that going down the tubes. So when they're responding to calls for disturbance, they can't take that as, well, it's just a routine matter. Could be the one that gets them killed.
If the cops in the courthouse were not armed, this character would have had the keys to the kingdom.
Absolutely. It's something judges need to consider when they're talking to those police chiefs on developing security for those courthouses.
Right.
Now, if I said fits like a glove to you, what comes to mind? How about some perfect combinations like Sean Connery in 007 for us older burgers, Johnny Cash, Walk the Line, Tom and Huck. And now for cops, we are proud to introduce the new tactical flashlight from First Light USA that does indeed fit like a glove. Rich, I'm excited about this. What exactly, though, is the Liberator Tactical Light?
Ron, here it is. There are several things that really stand out about this light. One is it's very bright, 80 lumens, which is comparable to anything else that's out there. And you have the utility, the versatility of using this. There's the utility section where you can just simply hold this, point it, low, medium, and high. If it was on low, this thing will last up to 60 hours. If you have it on its highest intensity, it'll go a full 90 minutes. But not only can you point it, use it as a utility flashlight, buildings, low light conditions, their main focus, the one I think is really the tactical point of this thing, and I wish I had one years ago, is now I can wrap it around my hand, I can then adjust it like so, and it comes in different stages, so you can set it exactly like you want. I can control all the aspects with this thumb or with this one, depending on how I'm using it, and now I can use it with my firearm, and I can use both hands versus having a flashlight in my hand and doing this or this or this. This is right here, my hands, my palms, and this is on here.
Rich, and if an officer finds someone trying to yank it out of his hand?
What's extremely good about this tactically, trainers will like it, officers will like it, so that if I'm wearing it and somebody wants to grab this and use it on me, this thing will break away. It's designed so that these pieces right up here will simply bust out of my hand, and they can have it or drop it. I go to a different tool, possibly the stick, the taser, or my weapon, and deal with the issue. So we can break away from this. They've looked at a lot of aspects for the safety of the officer out there. The utility of how to use the flashlight, how to use it if I'm needed in my hand, both hands are free with the firearm in a tactical situation, and if grabbed, it will break free so I can go to a different tool in my tool belt.
To order the Liberator Tactical Light, highly recommended by CrimeTime, go to lineofduty.com/crimetime and you will receive your CrimeTime discount, or order toll-free at 1-877-454-4450 and mention CrimeTime for your Liberator Tactical Light discount. A Pennsylvania man is fighting a DUI charge on the grounds he was the passenger, not the driver. He admits he was steering the vehicle for a time while his idiot friend, the driver, was eating a big sandwich with both hands. The trooper says the vehicle was weaving all over the road and he detected a strong odor of alcohol on the passenger, not the driver. The field sobriety test determined indeed the passenger was loaded 3 times over. No test was administered to the driver because the trooper didn't give him an FST. Right, wrong, up, down, abba-dabba-dabba, said the monkey to the chimp. Richard.
Well, this is kind of dear to my heart because I spent many years in the traffic division and arrested a number of DUIs. And sometimes we have to challenge the court system. And I think this trooper is doing that. It depends on the definition of operating a motor vehicle. Every state is a little different, but if he was actually operating that vehicle, whether it be from the back seat, the side seat, he may stand a chance. It could be that that definition won't apply here and that he should have charged the driver with careless and imprudent and the passenger just skates for being an idiot. But I think the courts sometimes need to look at this and see what's going to happen. It's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Kevin?
He shows control of the vehicle by holding the steering wheel, so evidently in that state it works. I would offer him a suggestion next time. Hold the burger, not the wheel. Feed the driver as he holds the wheel if he's not intoxicated.
Detective Guzzi.
I just think that this shows all the hazards of being a good Samaritan. You know, try to help somebody out and you wind up in jail. It's
Greg?
Probably for the first time in my 57 years, I'm almost speechless. I mean, I just don't. It's going to be very interesting, but I do agree with Rich. It's going to depend on the definition of driving in that community. Because if you've got the driver here, even though he's eating the sandwich, if he's operating the gas pedal and he can operate the brake, he's got some control. Now,
picture this in your mind, folks.
Now, the individual is the passenger and drunk that's guiding the car. How much control does he have? He can't speed up, nor can he stop it. He can't slow it down. All he can do is guide. So is he actually in control of that vehicle?
Or is he half drunk?
Well, he's drunk. I mean, he's totally drunk. But yeah, the damn fool wouldn't be reaching over to get him if he wasn't drunk. But yeah, he's drunk. But the question is he in control?
Well, and you know, we laugh about this and everything. The trooper did what he was supposed to do and got them both off the road because that operating, he was all over the road. One twist of the wheel, and we could be sitting here saying where a family is dead and so forth. So the idea is to get them off the road. He did that. What he charges them with, we'll let the courts settle. But DUIs are extremely dangerous.
Bottom line is he'll be back on the road in 60 days or 90 days.
His penalty from the judge may be he needs a child restraint seat in the back seat. I don't know.
Sanella, what did you think about that?
I think he should have been charged with DUI. I think we need to challenge the courts on new charges because he was in charge of the driving, because if he would have moved that steering wheel and hit somebody, well, he was operating a motor vehicle. Even though he can't stop, he can't speed up. I think we need to challenge and change the laws as they apply and as they change.
Crime Time from In the Line of Duty asks Commander Gene Lillard of the Montrose, Colorado PD about Taser, and he will get all warm and fuzzy on you because twice in recent days to this production, as he says, Taser has saved our butts. First, a suicidal man holding a knife to his throat is stopped after a Montrose cop spears him with a taser, ending the threat. Then a parole violator decides to do battle with officers after a traffic stop, but becomes a meek little lammy pie after the taser gives him a jolt. And now Taser is debuting their next incarnation, designed not only to make your job safer, but also to cover your tuchus. Rich, give us a little show and tell.
Stop resisting. There you go. He's got a knife. Drop the knife, sir. Drop the knife or else you will be tased. Taser!
Rich, why is the taser cam, if indeed it is, a breakthrough?
Well, I think all the officers who carry a taser know the value of it. It's another tool on the belt that has saved a lot of officers from injuries. It has saved the suspects from getting their heads split open or maced or whatever. So the taser itself is a valuable tool. They have now come up with the new X26, which is a video cam. Fits right on, it's going to fit on all the tasers. Here's the one it fits on here. And this will now record what is going on. Officers that have video camera in their cars swear by it. At first they said, I don't want that camera in my car. It's going to tell everybody what I'm doing. But if you're doing a professional job, they have found that the car video has saved their butts a lot more than it's been detrimental. I believe the same thing's going to happen with the taser. Are you going to get a glimpse of what's happening? Yes. Are you going to get everything before and after? Depends on when you deploy the taser. As soon as you throw that switch and get it out here, this camera is now picking up everything that's going on visually and audibly. This is going to tell the story of for the officer when somebody says, I was tased for no reason at all. It's going to show that naked suspect coming at you with a baseball bat. It's going to show the officer giving verbal commands. It's going to be there for you. This is going to be a valuable tool for the officer on the street. Now, at the same time, when I say that, it doesn't mean that you can't articulate and document why you had to use this. That's standard practice. It's got to be done by every officer. But this now is going to be a history to show your administrators, media, the courts, why you had to deploy the taser.
And the grade you give it as far as being beneficial to cops?
I think it's going to stand right up there with the in-car camera. It's going to rate just one more tool as part of the taser, which officers believe in. Everyone that doesn't have one says, I want one of those. Those that have it say, it's really putting that light on people, getting it out, is gaining compliance. You can even add to the vocabulary now. Not only are you going to be tased, you're on camera. Will slow down and stop a lot of the assaults that are being caused on the street. So I think it's going to be a great tool, and those that can afford it got to add it to the arsenal, because even the price of this is going to save lawsuits down the line.
Some folks just seem born to be the very best at what they do, even if it's the very best at being the most stupid dumbass in town. Now, in this little clip of video, a comedian dons a nylon mask just to get a rise out of area retailers. Watch, and then we will ask the crime timers, how lucky was he not to receive a powder burn from a shotgun blast right between the orbs.
I just want to do a bit of a quick audience poll. Hello there, what's your name?
Amanda.
Amanda, how are you doing? I just want to ask you a question, Amanda.
Yeah?
When I put this over my head, what does that immediately remind you of?
Bank robber?
A bank robber, exactly. Everyone always says bank robber, and I reckon that's really discriminatory, because I think wearing a stocking on your head like this is actually a really good look. And lately I've taken to wearing one, you know, just as a bit of a fashion statement. And everywhere I go, boy, you wouldn't believe, I get nothing but prejudice. Hey there, just the paper and some chewy, thanks.
Can you pick up your mask?
Oh, no, it's okay. It's fine. It's just cold outside and I
Not really.
Hi there. No, it's fine. No, it's fine. Hi there. Do you have the new, that Peking to Paris book? Excuse me. No, just go and book a holiday. No, it's fine. Can't I book a holiday here? Hi there. No, I just want to
get out. Sorry.
No, I just want to.
No, you are a robber.
No, I just want to. I just want to get some noodles.
Sorry.
I just want some dumplings. No. Hi there. I noticed a DVD.
Well, what the hell is that?
No, the DVD in the window. Is that the final price you can offer? No, don't panic. No. I just want to buy a DVD.
In a second, I'll call the police.
No, it's fine. No. It's just what I wear.
Oh, can you help me, please? I've got a gentleman here.
Don't call the police. I'm a regular shopper.
To get myself, can you come straight away, please?
Get it out of here. The cops are coming.
Mike, this fellow wore a stocking mask. He went into numerous retail shops. He's got people calling the cops, running into the back. How lucky was he not to have had an autograph from some sort of automatic weapon betwixt his eyes?
Well, if we criminalize idiocy, we're really going to have some jail overcrowding. This guy obviously is running for high office in the Volunteer Victims of America Society or England or wherever he was. Obviously, he's placing himself into a scenario. It's like these people that pull holdups with toy guns and then complain when they get shot. Well, we believe the ruse that you presented to us, you know, and it's the same way with this guy. This clown's putting himself in, unless this was staged, unless they pre-screened these places to make sure there weren't off-duty police officers or plainclothes police officers in them or whatever.
Greg, you saw it.
It would be discharge number 24 for me. I would kill him. I'd shoot him. There's no doubt about it. I mean, you look in reality. If you're with your child, your wife, or anyone else, and you see somebody enter a place where you're there and they come in with a stocking cap over their face, the first thing you think is robbery, and the first thing you think is defend yourself and defend your family. Looking at the video, you see some of these people run, and I thought, just like Mike, that maybe this is staged because there's a camera there. But some of these people looked very frightened.
Yeah, they
did.
Very
much afraid.
Yes,
it didn't look like it was put on. And I think that if you get paid for attempted suicide, then this guy should be a millionaire, because that's what he was trying to do, I think, get killed running in with a stocking cap on.
Rich, could you believe what you were seeing?
No, but that's reality TV. It's gone to the edge, and I think this actually shows it's fallen off. There's a couple issues there. I mean, if that would have happened in certain stores, mom and pop stores that I know of in the city of St. Louis, he would have been shot dead, even with the cameraman behind him. He's lucky. And then maybe in England they can't have those weapons there, but here we can defend our property, and he would have been dead. The second one is those people's faces were extremely scared. You could tell that wasn't acting. And what if one of those people had dropped dead right there from a heart attack? They should have taken every dime from him, his studio, and everything else. Sometimes, who's ever running that, producers and making those decisions, need to be a good kick in the ass, and this is one of them.
I agree. Kevin?
They've introduced all the serious issues. I'll add a little levity. I'm just going to ask, did he not look like a certain appendage with a condom on top? He had the reservoir?
Yes, he certainly did. My big toe. Sonella, you saw it.
The beginning of the video shows him in the studio talking to the audience, and they even told him, hey, you look like a robber. I mean, in itself, right then and there, he should have known, hey, I shouldn't go out there in the general public and playing this prank. He should have known better. I mean, he did it in the studio, and they said, hey, you look like a robber. He should have known. If he was in St. Louis area, he would have been a dead man. And it would have been a holdup where a bad guy got shot. It would have been a justifiable homicide. There's no question about that.
Murphy, why are you smiling now?
Because you can't fix stupid.
Crime Time from In the Line of Duty. Visit us on the World Wide Web at lineofduty.com. Well, if ever there were some cops who would be shoo-ins for a remake of the old series Car 54, Where Are You? It's these photogenic foos who only lack goose-down pillows to make their stay really comfy cozy at the old Cruiser Inn. Now, Gregory Hawkins, you've seen the photos of these officers in various stages of somnambulism, and I'm just wondering, what is going through your mind after you'd seen the first?
Well, the first thing that went through my mind, I jumped into my 3.5 years I was the inspector of police, so I went into the discipline mode. I mean, there's no way you can condone what you see there. These officers are asleep, sound asleep. But the biggest issue is safety. I mean, their own safety. They've thrown that to the wind. I'd just like to see someone run up to the car screaming for help and see what they would do when they come out of a deep sleep. There's no way to really justify it. There's some other underlying issues. I was disturbed by some of the comments that were made because of what created this issue. And the issue was actually a racially motivated deal, lawsuit, and some of the comments that were made, I was disturbed about that. But the issue for us, I think, is these officers sleep. And I don't know how anybody in their department can try to justify or condone what you see there.
Now, none of you as veteran officers has ever known, I'm certain, of an officer sleeping on the job. Right, Mike Guzzi?
Oh, absolutely not. You know, we always did treat sleeping on duty as a disciplinary measure, and of course you can't condone it. But truthfully, when you're tired enough, when you've been in court all day and you're working your second or third night in a row, sometimes it's beyond your control. Now, normally, if you have decent coworkers, people cover for each other, and you can grab enough shut-eye to make it through. And apparently, that wasn't the case in this instance.
Kevin, what did you think when you saw these fellows sawing logs?
Well, it reminded me of a time when I was a young sergeant, and I got a call from one of my guys to respond over to a location, and just as I round the corner, I see another police officer speeding up the street. His windshield wipers are going back and forth. It's the middle of the summer, but it looks like there was snow all over the back of the rear windshield. And what had happened is they pulled a prank. They took shaving cream while he was snoozing on a parking lot, sprayed it all over every window of the car, and then called me to the area to meet one of the other officers so that I'd catch this guy doing his business. But on a serious note,
wait a minute, what happened to him? You're not getting away. What happened to him?
I caught up to him out at the station as he's spraying off his car, and I had a
What's he doing now?
Actually, I think he works for the federal. He works for the federal government. Actually, he does. I think he's with. I won't say the agency, but he's with a federal agency. But you know, realistically, that is a disciplinary issue. But at the same time, we've got police officers out there who are working secondary jobs, and you know, it's a human condition. And I think realistically what you've got to do is you can't condone it. You don't let somebody come in with a blanket and a pillow. But at the same time, sometimes you get tired, you're working the overnight shift. Encourage your people to come in, get a cup of coffee, stretch, maybe give them some workout time if you can, if you're set up so that you can do that to help them stay fresh. Look for ways to help them get through sometimes. You know,
well, it's easy. It can't be condoned. It's an officer safety issue, and it's awful. Not the officer that's just sleeping. How about all the other officers that are also covering his ass? Now they're handling calls, and if they need backup, he's sound asleep, can't listen to the radio. This was more of a systematic problem, and it also goes up through the sergeants, the lieutenant, all of those things, and it can't be condoned because it affects everybody, including the community. Those pictures now have done harm to that entire police department, and we need all the help we can get. So yes, we do get tired, we do work secondary, but you know what? This is our first job, and the focus is my ass going home at the end of the shift, whether you're sleeping or not, and there has to be a way, either if you're so bone tired you go to the boss, but it can't be accepted.
Sanel, have you ever fallen asleep on the gig?
No.
Close.
No, absolutely not. Yes. Yes. You get close to it because you're tired, but you have to know, hey, get a cup of cold water, drink water, call somebody, meet up with your partner, somebody from your squad, and talk to somebody for about 15 minutes to stay awake. Because what a lot of people, and I think a lot of officers would agree, that police car does not deter people. You know, they don't stay away from it. It's a target. To me sitting in a car, in a police car, sleeping, to me, I'm just a target.
I mean, seriously, I wonder how many studies, if there have been any study, on how many officers have been injured or killed because they're just too damn tired.
You know, I don't know if there's ever been a study of that. I do know that if you check any department, you see that probably a great majority of disciplinary actions taken from the internal affairs have been on officers asleep on duty. But away from that, it goes back to kind of like what Mike said. These are human beings. They're going to be tired. They're going to sleep. The human body goes to sleep when it gets too tired. But you can't condone that because of what we do. And there's too many easy ways. I mean, I used to, as a night watch commander, I would simply tell my guys, if you get sleepy, don't go to sleep. Come to the station, get a cup of coffee, walk around a few minutes before you go back out. But inevitably, they're going to do that. But when they do it, they're putting themselves in jeopardy. They're putting their co-workers in jeopardy. So there's no way you can just sit back and condone it.
Finally, one drunk hauled into his local cop shop definitely flunked his needlepoint class. And his dancing left something to be desired too. Make special note of his fingers trying to extricate his license from his wallet, and his head trying to extricate itself from his, well, you'll see.
Have a seat right here.
Okay? Okay. Okay. You want to take your driver's license out of your wallet? Can you stand up here? Can you stand over here? Place your hands on the tape. On here. Whoa, 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 whoa. You're gonna have to quit doing this, you know? No. No.
Attention all units. Any officer out in the field, we could use some, spackle. Over.
Mike, what did you think about the choreography of this drunk in the station house?
The picture is worth 10,000 words. You can tell the jury that the guy blew a 3.2 or whatever it was, but the shot of him going headfirst through the wall with the half moon rising out of the back of his Levi's there, that's priceless, okay? That's not 3.2, that's priceless.
What do you give him as an Olympic judge?
Well, you know, right away I went into the defensive mode. I like to be the defense attorney and handle that. I don't know, he hadn't had the test, so was he drunk or is he suffering from a concussion? Because not only did his head go through that wall, but as he stood, he backed into another room and fell into another wall. And the officer said, "You're going to have to stop doing that." I just wonder, what shape was this guy in when he finally took the test?
Yeah, I mean, do you think that he listened to the officer's instructions at this point, Rich?
No, he couldn't pay attention to those. But and I took a different aspect as I laughed because he's such an obnoxious drunk, and he was really kind of friendly, but bam, bam, and just stupid. I'm going, this is on tape, and now this officer is going to have to explain to his sergeant why there's a hole in the wall, why he's got a knot on his head, and why I couldn't do a damn thing to stop it. You know? But that stuff happens.
Kevin?
As he's doing his pirouettes like a bear, what is the officer doing? You know, he's sitting or standing behind that table, and as Rich says, there's liability involved there.
So, what'd you think? Did he put on a good performance?
I wouldn't watch it other than for the training videos. It was funny. But another thing is, yeah, absolutely, as far as the police officer, he's standing there looking down, looking at his paperwork, and even after he hit his head, he's dancing backwards, falling all over the place. I mean, that type of person, he should be seated down and doing his test without standing up or doing anything else, because he will get injured. And just like Mr. Hawkins said, you know, it would be an issue with a defense attorney. I mean, what are we doing here? Are we trying to injure this person? So you got to be a little more careful. Even though he's the suspect, we know he's drunk. It's obvious he's obnoxious.
Well, now,
he's drunk.
Mike, you've seen drunks do choreography before, haven't you?
Sure.
I mean, where did this fellow stand on a 1 to 10?
Well, he had the unfortunate luck to be videotaped. He seemed to have a real balance problem. He was intent on self-destruction there.
Rich, you've arrested a lot of drunks. Was this Nureyev?
He was tremendous. He was a nice fella, but again, you never know if they're going to be that nice drunk or the most violent drunk, and just you got to watch yourself.
Once again, we have solved all of mankind's problems, other than sudden gas attacks, Howard Stern, and just how we can get Alec Baldwin to actually live up to his promise to move to Europe. Thanks to all the crime timers who have given of themselves so selflessly, we hope you've been able to mine a few nuggets of pure gold from their emanations and oratory. To Officer Sinela Konjevich, we are in awe of your staying power in the midst of this sea of voracious sharks. Thank you. To Rich Simfer, always a pleasure knowing you're here to let us fling as much as we possibly can onto your weary shoulders. Kevin Murphy, who is the absolute epitome of what a loyal, trustworthy, brave, cheerful, and honest scout should be, but quit sneaking over to the girls' camp at night. Mike Guzzi, who continually amazes and enthralls with his ability to extract the one-liner. like my mom used to do my pimples when I was 13. And to Deputy Chief Gregory Hawkins, who is always watching over us with the wizened and sagacious love of a mother hen, and will scratch our eyes out if we try laying a hand on Sanella. God bless you, and remember, abuse of the elderly, the defenseless children, and animals is your beat. Learn the signs, save a life. We are counting on you. Blessings on you, your fellow troops and family, and we thank you. You're listening to and you're watching Crime Time, an audio and video service from In the Line of Duty.